In 356 BC, in Pella, Macedonia, a child was born who would forever change the history of warfare. Amidst the joy of the Macedonian King Philip II and his wife Olympias, it was a historic day for the Macedonian kingdom, although they did not know that he would become one of the greatest leaders in history. Alexander indeed grew up and became aware enough to learn some royal matters, and indeed, he began his royal education at an early age, as he was passionate about learning, especially reading stories of legendary heroes, which made him aspire to be a historical hero like them. His mother Olympias played a significant role in supporting such ideas. The years passed, and Alexander did not forget his childhood dream of being a hero whose stories are told in history. Alexander became 16 years old, and the philosopher Aristotle was tasked with overseeing Alexander's education, and indeed, Aristotle was interested in teaching Alexander. He taught him literature, science, philosophy, and medicine, and Alexander's genius and quick learning made Aristotle admire his personality and believe that he would be a great king one day. The years passed, and Alexander continued to learn, and indeed, the years passed, and then the tragedy happened. In 336 BC, the assassination of the Macedonian King Philip II by an unknown person was a shocking incident for Alexander, which found him surrounded by enemies, rebels, and those greedy for power at a young age. At the age of 20, Alexander was crowned King of Macedonia. The atmosphere was very tense. The eyes of the crowds, which were full of anxiety as if they were saying, "Will a young man be able to rule under the current tension?" They had not yet believed in Alexander's capabilities. Alexander indeed realized that he had a great responsibility on his shoulders, and indeed, with the support of his mother and his teacher Aristotle, Alexander decided to step forward to become the hero of this kingdom and start his own empire. Alexander's first step was to unify Greece under one rule, and he indeed succeeded. And here Alexander proved his mentality and leadership intelligence, which led to the unification of Greece. The unification of Greece was just the beginning for Alexander, as the childhood dream of becoming a historical hero was still alive, and indeed, Alexander launched conquests that were unprecedented, starting from the Battle of Granicus to the Battle of Issus, in which Alexander and his army fought bloody battles against the Persians, which ended with their expulsion from Asia Minor at the hands of Alexander and his allies. Alexander's empire grew little by little, extending from the Ionian Sea in the west to the Himalayas in the east, and from here we can say that Alexander indeed became Alexander the Great, as his strategies and precise plans led him to be the smartest and strongest leader in the era of the leader who was never defeated even once in his life. Alexander's ambition did not end there, as the ambitions of the great have no limits. Alexander reached India with his army indeed, where he faced fierce resistance from the Indians. Alexander fought many battles, the most famous of which was the Battle of the Hydaspes in 326 BC, where he faced the Indian King Paris. Alexander faced many problems in this battle, as it took place near a river, and the Indian army was large and contained about 300 elephants, which made the matter indeed difficult. But Alexander managed to overthrow the left wing and penetrate the army and overthrow King Paris, who was defeated miserably. And this battle was the last battle in Asia. Within Alexander's campaign in Asia, Alexander believed in tolerance and cultural integration, as he allowed King Paris to rule his regions in India after signing an alliance between the two parties. Alexander was an example of a successful leader and a historical hero who led his nation and spread Greek culture around his vast empire. As one of his sayings is, "There is nothing impossible for those who try." This great leader left us his battles, his heritage, and most importantly, he managed to go on to be a historical hero while he was able to achieve all those achievements at the age of 30. The days passed and Alexander became 32 years old indeed. When visiting Babylon, Alexander fell ill with a strange disease in his time, which is fever, and his condition worsened and worsened, and when he was on his deathbed, one of the soldiers asked him about who would be his successor. Alexander answered him to be his last words to the strongest. And here the world lost a great leader who led nations and united civilizations. Alexander the Great, the leader who was never defeated.